Good morning, and thank you very much for the introduction. It is an honor for me to participate here as the first Costa Rican speaker this morning. So before starting, let me welcome you all to my little country. I hope that you will have an unforgettable experience in Costa Rica and that you will feel motivated to visit again one of the happiest places on earth. So welcome you all. Moving forward, to tell you a little bit about the motivation behind my talk, I need to talk a little bit about my background. As a graduate student, I had the great opportunity to collaborate at the Food Venture Center at Cornell University. And there, a process authority showed me how to evaluate the formulation and processing conditions of different food products to determine if they will be safe. In most of the cases, I found that the only way to confirm that the product will be safe is by executing a microbial challenge study. And by that, I'm referring to those studies that we can perform to determine what is the behavior of a particular pathogen in a food product. And for that, I'm talking about inoculation, and I'm talking about using the most resistant pathogen of concern. And what if I tell you that in some cases we don't know what is the most resistant pathogen of concern? At the same time, to obtain my PhD, I was able to perform microbial challenge studies by myself. So I know exactly how it takes, how many Petri dishes are needed in order to have a conclusion. So I evaluated traditional thermal treatments, but also emerging non-thermal technologies, including UV light, microfiltration, and high-pressure processing. So I became aware of all the information and all the science-based efforts that you need in order to confirm that a product will be safe before reaching the consumer. After graduation and a couple of years later, I was able to participate in the setup of the HPP Validation Center at Cornell. And that is a unique biosafety level 2 laboratory that performs microbial safety validations on a daily basis for food industry. And they are using one of the most promising emerging technologies for food processing nowadays. They're using HPP. And one of the most amazing things that I found there is that they own a commercial scale HPP unit. So they can reproduce exactly what industry is doing with this technology. Based on these experiences, I learned about the beauties of these alternative technologies. I know that you can obtain a more fresh-like product with enhanced nutritional properties, but also with an extended shelf life. But on the other side, I also learned that you need to be very careful when a safety validation is performed. It is very important to simulate, replicate industrial commercial conditions in order to have valuable conclusions. It is very important to determine what is the most resistant pathogen of concern, and that will change from product to product. And from the same product, it may change depending on the technology that you are applying. On the other hand, it is very important to take into consideration the product particularities, because those properties may affect the behavior of a particular pathogen in the product. So that explains a lot of the way that I think and the way that I work. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, I was born in this paradise. And because of that, I'm aware of my culture, of my people. I know very well my people in the Central American region. Just as an example, this is how we celebrated that our soccer team played well at the World Cup. So yes, we are loud and we don't mind to get in close proximity with others. So I am very much used to the culinary practices in our region, the educational level. I don't know if you are aware, but in Costa Rica, elementary and high school is free and mandatory. And also, I am very aware of the food processing conditions, the environmental conditions, and even the funding restrictions for the food industry. And I can tell you for sure that all these factors are affecting the quality and the safety of the products that we are offering to the local and also to the global market. So, knowing all the challenges that my region was facing in regards of safety, it's that I decided to dedicate my career to the execution of applied food safety. But just to provide you with a context, let me show you this picture. If you are not from this region, you will have a hard time trying to find a cheese in the picture, right? But if you are a Central American citizen, as crazy as it may sound, you will easily point out here. You know that that is a highly consumed cheese that is produced in the Mesoamerican region, that is consumed on a daily basis, and that we usually commercialize it under room temperature. That's a basic safety concern, right? But that's the way that it is in a developing country, and that's how far we are for some products. So aware of that, as I said, I decided to dedicate my career to the validation of different local food products. These products have not been studied yet. For example, I'm working with highly consumed products that are potentially hazardous due to their physical-chemical properties. There is an important amount of artisanal processors involved, and they're characterized by a high nutritional value, so we really want to protect those products. On the other hand, we have very limited regulations in regard the safety assurance of these projects. There is a lack of scientific data and also technical guidelines. We also haven't performed scientific-based validations yet, and unfortunately, we have had many food safety issues related to these products before. I don't have here the list of all the products that I would like to study, but what I can tell you is that I will be busy for the rest of my life. But don't feel worried about it. I'm excited about that. So just as concrete examples, I would like to show you some of the projects that have been executed. This project was performed thanks to the support of ILSI, the Platform for International Partnership. And for this project, we evaluated the currently applied control measures of the local food industry to ensure the safety of traditional dairy products. And thanks to this project, we were able to determine and to collect enough scientific-based information to, in most of the cases, alert processors and also regulators about things that we should change in order to protect consumers' health. But in this project, we have also developed educational materials and also training opportunities for processors and regulators. So this project is not only about pointing out an issue that we know it exists. It is more about trying to find a solution and trying to collaborate. The other project that I have here is one that I've been executing in collaboration with a university in the United States and 2 universities in France. We have been evaluating the safety of fruits and vegetable-based beverages. One example is that we determined the kinetics of inactivation of different foodborne pathogens in unpasteurized microfiltrated blackberry juice. That is a product that you can find already at our supermarkets. Thanks to this project, I came to the conclusion that a cold pasteurization was a feasible alternative to ensure the safety of the product. But more importantly, I know exactly for how long and at which specific temperature we should retain the product to ensure the inactivation of the most resistant pathogen of concern. And the third example that I have here for you is this is like my baby because it's the most recent project that I'm working on. I don't know if you're aware, but we are eating a huge amount of bananas worldwide. And Costa Rica is one of the main global suppliers. So I'm trying to determine if pathogens may get infiltrated into the fruit during washing. And I also want to know if unwanted chemical substances may get into the fruit. And if pathogens get infiltrated, I would like to know if they will survive inside the fruit and also on the peel during ripening. So it is considering these projects that I just mentioned that I would like now to point out what I believe are the challenges and opportunities that a developing country is facing in regards to the execution of safety validations. So first of all, I need to go back for a second to the definition of validation, and right there you will see some of the challenges, because it says that you have to collect and evaluate scientific data in order to determine if a control measure will effectively control a hazard that has been previously identified. And what if we don't have that information yet? According to Codex, a validation is when you obtain evidence that a control measure or a combination of control measures are working to control a particular hazard to a specified outcome. And what if we don't know what is that outcome that we want to achieve. So considering that, the first challenge that I've seen is that at developing countries, including Costa Rica, we lack of laboratories dedicated to the execution of microbial safety validations. And if we can find a laboratory, it is likely that the lab won't be equipped with industrial equipment to replicate commercial processing conditions. But if you're lucky enough to find a laboratory equipped with the right machines, the cost of these studies will be prohibited for small and medium-scale companies, and they are producing an important amount of products. The other challenge is that in our region, we have a wide variety of local products that have not been yet completely characterized, so we don't know what are their physicochemical properties or what are the pathogens that might be present in those products and how pathogens will behave. I know that that is an opportunity because these raw materials represent promising alternatives for the development of food products packed of bioactive compounds with a lot of health benefits. But if we don't have enough information to confirm that they will be safe for the consumer, we have nothing yet. Imagine just what a tropical country such as Costa Rica may offer if we blend these exotic raw materials and then apply an emerging non-thermal technology. The product will be great, right? But this idea has no value until we will be able to perform microbial challenge studies to confirm if the product will be safe. The other challenge that we have at a developing country is that you can find now in our supermarkets products that we usually consume only at home. So it's completely different. At home, the product is freshly made, so there are no safety concerns. But now their industry is subjecting these products to different packaging conditions and extended storage times. So we really need to work on that and confirm to perform and execute safety validations to make sure this product won't get sick, our population. The third and the biggest challenge that I've seen is that in our region, we lack of consolidated surveillance systems for foodborne pathogens. So we don't have the whole picture about who are we dealing with, where are the pathogens coming from, and how strong they might be after being exposed to particular formulation and processing conditions. So that is something that we need to work on. You can use different safety approaches to perform a validation. You can use historic data or perform a challenge study. You can refer to scientific literature or regulations, or you can use a predictive microbiological tool. But if you take into consideration the challenges that I just mentioned, regardless of the approach that you pick, it will be challenging, and the conclusions might be affected based on the scenario that I just showed. But I have to say that not everything is lost in developing countries. For example, in Costa Rica, we have our government trying to have a better surveillance system. They are investing in equipment and facilities to identify the pathogens that are affecting our population. We have academia performing more applied safety studies, and the number of researchers with a background in food safety in the region is increasing. On the other hand, our local industry is way ahead of regulations because they are trying to comply with international and more restrictive regulations. So that's why in many cases, our industry has a third-party certification in a food safety management system, and that has prompted the execution of microbial safety validations. In addition, what I think is the most promising alternative to overcome all the challenges that I just mentioned is the collaboration between academia, industry, and government. But I'm not talking about a local collaboration because we won't fix our issues. I'm talking about an international collaboration where experts around the globe try to find answers to common concerns of highly consumed products that might be putting our global population at risk. Inspired by that idea, after graduation, I came back to Costa Rica, and I really wanted to do something good. But I wanted to work with a product, with a highly consumed product that it was very important for my economy. And here in Central America, we're producing a huge amount of hot pepper sauces. But in most of the cases, these products are not subjected to a thermal treatment. Basically because we don't have packaging materials, or sometimes we don't have the knowledge, or that's the way that it has been done, right? So we don't want to change it. But I really wanted to know if those products are safe or not. At that time, I didn't have a laboratory. At that time, I didn't have strains to perform my microbial challenge study. So I had two options: to go to the beach or try to find a solution. And what I did is to develop a model hot pepper sauce, considering all the formulation of the products that were available at the market. So I reproduced a hot model sauce, but then I wanted to perform the challenge study with pathogens. So I took my samples, I took a commercial flight, and it was easier than bringing pathogens to my country. So I took a commercial flight, and I went to Cornell. I had friends there. So they provided me with the strains that have been linked to outbreaks before. They have been isolated from fruits and vegetable-derived products. So I executed the challenge study there. And at the same time, I had a bunch of students here at Costa Rica isolating spoilage microorganisms for contaminated hot pepper sauces provided by our companies. And because of that, now we know the identity of this yeast and lactic acid bacteria. So we perform a spoilage challenge study in addition to the safety validation. And based on that information, we were able to determine that a cold fill process was a feasible alternative to ensure the safety of the product. So don't worry, you can keep eating hot pepper sauces in Costa Rica. You won't get sick. But the other thing that I found is that I know exactly what is the pH that you need to achieve, what is the stimulant that must be used, and for how long the product should be kept in order to inactivate the pathogens of concern. And what I'm more proud about this project is that the information doesn't belong to one unique company. The information has been published. So it is available for those who may need the information. The information doesn't belong to the academia, nor the government, nor the industry. It is out there, so you can use it. So with that, wrapping up this presentation, and as concluding remarks, I would like to mention that safety concerns are not local, or they do not belong to a particular region. They are not from developing countries. Food safety concerns should be globally addressed because people is traveling around the world, and we're traveling with our culture, our products, and if we don't do something, we may get sick, right? The other thing is it is very important to learn from previous experiences. And for example, developing countries may learn from those countries that are ahead of us in terms of the implementation of stronger surveillance systems, of safety validations, and also regulations to protect consumers' health. And then, as a researcher, I think that we need to find alternative ways to bring science to the productive sectors. So I'm convinced that, for example, each of you sitting at this room has something to share in order to promote a healthier and a safer food supply. You may have knowledge, experience, funding, facilities, or concerns. But we need to get out and talk to others. We need to talk to consumers. We need to talk to the industry. We need to talk to the government to understand what they need. I'm convinced that isolated tiny projects such as mine won't make the difference. I won't provide a safer food supply. But if we work all together in similar initiatives, we may definitely make a change and provide safer and healthier foods to the global population. With that, thank you very much for your attention.